Hello everyone, good morning. I am Jankiben Kirtan Patel and here I am talking about the case study of child Chloe and trying to answer the questions. The case study that I have been working on in the field of inclusive practice in early childhood education and care will be presented today. The case study is a 4-year-old girl named Chloe who recently migrated to Australia from China. Chloe speaks Cantonese at home and is studying English for the first time. In this session, I will cover the importance of cultural responsiveness, inclusion, and diversity, the obligations of educators, and the techniques that can enable Chloe to feel comfortable, accepted, and included in the content in which she is learning. The first question is define inclusion and diversity in the context of an early education and care setting. Inclusion is more than putting children in the room. It is being able to assess the program, having a meaningful participation in the program, building relationships, and having positive learning outcomes. Diversity includes difference and strength that children, families, and educators bring to the setting, that is, language, culture, family and household structure, ability and religion, experiences of migration, and how they communicate. Inclusion in close content is about her living in the setting, recognizing the importance of Canton in her identity, removing any barriers she may encounter, such as languages, avoiding teasing from peers, and modifying teaching approaches to allow her to belong and be included. The fundamental approach within the EYLF Value 2.0 is for respect for diversity and equality to be part of children's belonging and learning. The second question is about the explain the concept of cultural responsiveness in an early education setting. Mm, Cultural responsiveness is an active, reflective process that teachers develop in partnership with the families and children. Continues to view culture as constantly in flux and views the curriculum, relationships, and communication through that lens. It's not simply about celebrations of festival or multicultural posters. Close ideas of culturally responsive practice includes encouraging peers to learn the value of the various languages, inviting the family's knowledge into the curriculum, providing a visual support and checking pronunciation of names and providing an interpreter where necessary, and learning some words from the canton. Understanding that cultural responsiveness is about educators developing knowledge about all cultures and applying the knowledge in their work. It also calls on teachers to understand and consider power dynamics and to not assume that in order of close to learn to perform the service, she will need to leave behind her home language. The third question is about what actions can an educator take to act ethically and support the inclusion of people from diverse backgrounds. The answer is about that the moral values that are upheld by the educator involve being a participant in safeguarding children's right, dignity, and safety, developing respectful relationships with families, and challenging discrimination at an appropriate time. Practical implementation involve the use of professional interpreters as opposed to using children as interpreters. Knowing the family's routine, knowing how the families communicate, keeping information confidential, adapting experiences to varying communication level, and recording the inclusive adaptations in the program and ILP. The educator should use language with respect, challenges stereotypes, report and the response to bully in accordance with the services policy. Children have cultural and linguistic rights that are addressed without discrimination in the ECA Code of Ethics, and children's rights are addressed without discrimination in the UNCRC. The next question is discuss how an individual's value, beliefs, and behaviors may lead an individual to show bias or discriminate against others. Values and beliefs shape a teacher's regard for what they see, what is deemed normal, and what they expect. When an educator assumes English is only celebratory language in the classroom and absence of language or a curriculum, communication using language that is not English, close cantonance may be interpreted as a skill deficit rather than second language adjustment. Bias can be obvious, for example, by mocking an accent, or can be hidden, such as communicating with only the English speaking children. Oversimplifying what happens to Chloe or refusing to speak to the families as conversation is too challenging. Behavior are then said to be discriminatory if they restrict a clause or child's participation, identity, or their relationships. It is a critical reflection that assists educator to recognize assumptions, who is being silent, and how practice might need to change in prevent harm to children from any bias. Next question is about describe three positive impact of an educator displaying inclusive practice. The first is inclusive practice empowers belonging and well-being by children feeling secure to share the language, identity, and family culture. It is important for Chloe because she will need emotional security to assist her to get used to being in a different country and for a different services. The second is inclusive practice enhance access to learning as visual clues, gestures, and peer support, and bilingual resources enable Chloe to be forwarded of the routine and join in before she master the English language. The third is it's good for the entire group. Kids learn about empathy, fairness, language around anti bias, and respect for differences. National Quality Standard Quality Area 5 is focused on respectful relationships with which promote children's well-being, self-esteem, and sense of belongings. So that's why inclusive practice is not just about Chloe, it enhances the social agenda of all the children. Now, the next question is how would you consider and build on the diverse backgrounds and strength of all children, families, and educators at these services? I would begin by collecting strength based information from enrollment, conversations, family questioning, observations, and educator reflection. Families would be invited to share become language, cultural practice, favorite songs, comfortable routines, celebrations, dietary needs, and hopes for their child. In the curriculum, children's language, stories, map, family photos, and culture knowledge would be embedded in daily play, not treated as occasional add ons. Educators' strength and cultural knowledge would also be recognized through team planning. For CLO, this could include Cantonese labels, picture schedules, bilingual books, and family photo book, and opportunities for the family to share familiar songs or greetings. Quality Area 6 highlights that collaborative partnership with families and communities enhance inclusion, learning, and well-being. Now, the next question is about how could you support the engagement of CLO in this scenario? Predictable routines and harm relationships and communication scaffold can support close engagement. Spoken English would be used alongside gestures, visuals, real objects, pictures, cards, and visual timetable to alert Chloe of any changes or transition to be made. I would be begin with some important Cantonese words just like hello, toilet, drink, help, and home. I would learn them and use them, and I was encouraged to have the family record familiar words or songs. A peer buddy could be arranged for Chloe to play with and for meal times and outdoor sessions. Experiences should start with her interest, try out drawing, blogs, music, and dramatic play, which are good low pressure opportunities for learning languages. Considering how to maintain close first language is also crucial for identity, families, and further language development. The next question is about how can inclusive practices be implemented for all educators at this service to build and their self-awareness and understanding of how their own behaviors can impact their interactions with Chloe and the family to promote safe, respectful, and positive relationships. A whole team approach to inclusive practices, the nominator, supervisor, and educational leader can be planned for professional learning with the focus on cultural responsiveness, anti bias practice, and second language learning. Questions to ask at a group meeting could include whose culture is reflected in our room? What is to be done if the child speaks English that we don't understand? Is it possible for Chloe to take part in our routines? Agreements between teams should be established in consistent approaches which may involve the use of interpreter, the correct pronunciation of names, documenting the input of family members, addressing teasing immediately, and avoiding deficit language such as no English, reflective journals, peer observation, and peer supervision. Discussion about the potential strategies for recognizing implement biased and changing behavior. This aligns with EYLF. The principal learning and reflective practice is ongoing. Now, the next question is about reflection statement. How I position myself regarding diversity and inclusion within early childhood education and care settings. I see myself as an educator with this responsibility to provide a learning environment where the child's identity, language, culture, and family background is valued as strength. Diversity is not simply a problem to be managed, it is an aspect of early childhood communities that is normal and worthwhile. I think about my decisions in relation is acceptance and rejection as part of close life. For example, when I only see the child's lack of English, I don't notice the wealth that she brings in terms of her knowledge, feelings, relationships, and Cantonese language background. I am then reminded that I must approach these families with a heart of heart to listen and understand their concerns, and also not to assume some things based on my concern of experience. I also know inclusive isn't about being kind, it's about more. It does not happen by itself. It needs to be planned and advocated and critically through about. But I have to say then, someone makes a comment or does something which mocks cause language, because if we don't say anything, then we are saying that it is okay. My approach to inclusion is grounded in the belief that inclusive education is for everyone and is good for the child and for the learning community in general. To promote equity, participation, and social cohesion. My professional position is children of all ages have the right to take part in an environment that is safe and meaningful. All families have the right to be listened to and decisions which impact on that child. I will continue to develop my inclusive practice using feedback and evidence based practice and working in partnerships with families and collaboration services and colleagues. Thus, the inclusion is not just being promised through a policy statement, but it is a commitment that needs to be done on the daily basis. Now, the next question is about what measures would you take to deal with a bully in the service? When the issue of the kid teasing Chloe about her language, I would do so in a calm and educative manner. I would stop the behavior, identify to the other child. I would like you to be less unkind and less unfair. Understand, empathize with Chloe, and ask the other child to find way to repair the harm through empathy and inclusive play. The message would be made clear language and families are not to be mocked. Although I wouldn't shame the child who is still learning to understand how social skills work in the preschool area. Longer term plans involve ensuring the anti bias concepts are taught using storybooks, puppets, group discussion, and role play. Introducing books and resources that represent multilingual children, providing strong supervision for peer interactions, and informing families and nominated supervisors as per the policy. The service should record incidents, track trends, discuss with families in the respectful manner, audit inclusion and behavior guidance policies. Anti biased education allows children to detect injustice and to take action against it. In conclusion, inclusion is about every child feeling valued, respected, and supported. Chloe case study highlights the importance of recognizing children's languages, culture, and individual needs. Culturally responsive teachers who build positive relationships with families, participate in reflective practice, and utilize inclusive teaching approaches can allow children to feel safe and secure in the learning environment. Let's build respect, kindness, and acceptance and promote positive learning experiences for all children. Here are the reference list, you can refer it. And thank you so much for listening me. Thank you.